Hi, I'm attorney Gregory Dell, joined by attorney Alexander Palamara, and we have the privilege to discuss one of Alex's recently resolved cases against Lincoln Financial. And Alex, give us the background and history of this particular case and what you were able to do for your client to win this long-term disability appeal.
So my client worked for Novo Nordisk. He was a software developer in the HR department there. Worked for a number of years. He actually had I wouldn't say a pre-existing condition, but he kind of had a pre-existing medical diagnosis of relapsing, remitting multiple sclerosis. But he worked for years with it. There was no problem whatsoever. Unfortunately, the world and our country is going through a pandemic, and he got diagnosed with and infected with COVID-19. He got it bad. I mean, he was in the hospital for 30 days.
Oh, wow.
Obviously, got out of the hospital. Thankfully, made it through. But unfortunately, with him, he's a long-haul COVIDer. You know, there's no way around it. He continued to suffer from various issues. You know, brain fog, fatigue, and cognitive decline, forgetfulness, taking longer to do things. You name it, he's suffering from it. Unfortunately, for his job, it's a very high, intellectually demanding occupation, and he could no longer perform it. Thankfully, his employer, provided him and his other employees with disability insurance coverage, and they provided him with this long-term disability insurance policy, and the policy was with Lincoln, and he actually applied for benefits, and benefits were initially approved. There's no way they could not approve it. They approved his claim initially. They paid benefits for about 10 or 11 months or so, and I think my client probably got into maybe a level of comfort, thinking this was kind of easy, maybe too easy, and unfortunately for him, when you're dealing with Lincoln, nothing's ever too easy. They might lull you to sleep, but unfortunately, they're always looking to deny your claim. They did that with this guy's claim, unfortunately.
Okay, so tell us about the basis for why Lincoln denied his long-term disability benefits.
Very typical denial. You know, they went ahead and they hired an outside physician consultant to do a review of the claim. For this claim, they used a guy who was board certified in pulmonology and internal medicine doctor. This doctor said, there's not enough here to support continued restrictions, limitations. So what the insurance company did was they ignored the opinions of the treating providers and only looked at the opinion of this one doctor that they hired, mind you, and said, yeah, we agree with our doctor, we're going to deny your claims. Out of nowhere, my client was just sitting there, receives a denial letter. Out of nowhere, he loses all of his benefits.
How long was he being paid for before they cut him off?
About 10 months, 10 and a half months or so.
And you say in a typical fashion they just reviewed his records, but isn't it typical for them to have a claimant examined?
And I mean, nowadays I see it less and less. I feel like when I first started in this industry over a decade ago, and all I do is disability insurance claims, I see denial letters on a daily basis. Right. It's my life. And I used to see, I don't have any factual basis to back this up other than just what I see on a daily basis, anecdotal evidence, and I see less and less independent medical examinations. I guess part of it could be because of the pandemic. Maybe they're less inclined to do it, and maybe since the pandemic, it's not like they've gone up in sending people to independent medical examinations, but I don't see it very often. They didn't do it here in this instance.
I don't see it as a pandemic issue. I see it as that they, specifically Lincoln, many of the other carriers, they don't want to spend the money,
right.
Number one. Number two, they don't have as much control over these doctors who are running real practices. And why do I say that? Because if you send a claimant to get examined by a doctor, they're likely a doctor who has a medical practice. Most of these doctors who just review these files, are retired doctors, non-practicing, just trying to make some extra income,
right.
And the person who's paying their bills is Lincoln.
Right.
So the incentive is, if I could find something here that shows that the person might not have support for restrictions and limitations, because it's easy for an outside doctor to just pick apart another doctor's medical records, then I'm going to find that way, and I'm going to keep my client, meaning Lincoln, who's paying me, happy.
Right.
So when you say typical, yes, it is typical, unfortunately, and unfortunately the law allows them to use these medical reviewers to review these files. So you get the typical denial that you see every day from all different carriers, not just Lincoln. And what steps did you take to get the denial reversed?
So the law allows us to file an administrative appeal. The law does allow them to rely upon these consultant reviews, but we have a chance to do an appeal. So what we did with this appeal was we hit it from various aspects, various angles. I didn't just send him to a functional capacity evaluation. I sent him to because I knew he had physical functional disabilities. So I sent him to a physical therapist who put him through some physical functional testing. That alone showed that he was unable to perform even the sedentary work. So that showed he couldn't do his job. But beyond that, I'm dealing with an insurance company. I know I have to go above and beyond. So I sent him to a neuropsychological evaluation. This evaluation, which was done by a psychologist, showed that our client had significant decline in various aspects of cognition. You had various slow processing, slow word finding, slow cognitive recall, you name it, everything was on decline. This doctor even said that there's no way this guy could perform his past job as a software engineer, software developer. Beyond that, so I had 2 independent testings done. Then I went to his own treating providers. One was the person who was treating for post-COVID, long-haul COVID, clearly said this guy has so many symptoms on a daily basis that there's no way he can work at this time. And if he were to go back to work, even if he tried it out, it could increase his symptoms because it's just a risk for him to go back to work, and it's going to mess with his ability to recover. And then his neurologist said, his MS is triggered from this COVID, that he has these symptoms now, and there's just no way he could work at this time. So I hit him from 4 different aspects: 2 treating providers, 2 independent providers. I filed the appeal on March 23rd of 2023, and I got a response on April 14th of 2023. So 21 days later, or 22 days later.
But that's a phenomenal turnaround.
The response was great, by the way. They overturned their decision to deny the claim. So they reinstated benefits. My client's now back on claim.
That's fantastic. But the other thing that shocked me about this is, what was the age of this particular client?
He's over the age of 65. He's like 67 years old. So the benefits were limited to a total of 24 months. He's getting benefits now, but he previously got benefits for 10 and a half months, so they owed him only 14 more months.
But isn't that incredible to you? You have a 65 or 66-year-old gentleman who's been working for this company for a long time, a very high wage earner. He was earning a significant 6-figure salary, who at the later part of the years of his career certainly did not want to go out of work when he's really banking on that money to lean towards his retirement. And here he's taking an income cut to go down to probably 40 to 50% if he's lucky of what he was earning, and likely taxable.
Right.
And here you have this company who goes, oh, we'll pay you for 10 months. We think you can get back to work at 66 years old now, when we only owe you for another 11 months worth of benefits. I mean, think about how that's so ridiculous. And how, do you think the claims person even had any idea how much longer was at stake here? I mean,
it's hard to say how much they investigate their own claims, or how much they even know about their own claims. I don't even know how many claims they have. If they have 10 claims, or if they have 210 claims, they probably don't know that information. They're just looking to deny as much as they can.
Do you think this one also was just denied just purely because it was a higher benefit amount? Because I know the benefit you said was up around $9,000-$10,000 a month. And there's a different level. We know from taking depositions of everyone at all these companies and seeing claims handling manuals and everything, there's a different level of scrutiny at benefits that are greater than $5,000 a month.
I mean, they're more inclined to deny those cases because they save more money doing it. But you'd be shocked. I have clients that are only getting a couple $100 a month and they get denied. It's like, I want to agree with you, but I see them denying everybody.
They're equal opportunity deniers.
They take a more strenuous look at the higher ones for sure, but they deny everybody.
Well, I know in certain companies, and I'm not going to quote Lincoln right now, but many companies, if the benefit's over $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,500, you have to have another level of supervisor approval to approve the benefit.
100%.
Which means they're basically saying, look, like you said, it's numbers for them. They're in the business to collect premiums and not pay. But you can go ahead and deny claims adjuster all the benefits you want under $5,000, but when you start getting up there, you can go ahead and approve whatever you want below $5,000. Don't even ask us about it. We don't care. But obviously, you can have a $7,500 claim or $10,000 claim versus, you said you have claims that are $1,500. It's going to take 6 of those claims to equal 1.
Right.
So just from a business perspective, the disability companies want to have more control over the higher dollar claims. And I think someone in this situation looked at the dollars and then looked at the reality of this gentleman being 66 years old and only having 11 months left. So someone, luckily, once you submitted, which you did a tremendous amount of work on this file, and showed them, hey, this guy's totally disabled, then looked at it and goes, wait a second, we have 11 months here. It's going to cost us more than that to even litigate this thing if we don't reverse this file, let alone the evidence you put in. Somebody, luckily, when you do an appeal, a new person has to look at it. And luckily, you got someone who was willing to look at the evidence that you presented that was overwhelmingly in support of disability.
All right, we gave them no choice but to reinstate this claim. And if they didn't, we're going to litigate it. I don't care if it's limited to 11, 12 months of benefits.
Right.
We're going to litigate it, We're not going to let them do this wrong to these people.
Well, congratulations. It was a great outcome for the claimant. I'm sure he's Pleased, sad that he had to go through this, but pleased that you got it done so quickly and got his benefits reinstated. If you're someone out there who has a Lincoln Financial long-term disability policy, feel free to reach out to Alex or myself. No matter where you live in the country, we will immediately provide you with a free phone consultation.